speak to you in the name of the one holy and living God. Amen. Well, I know that you know this, and I'm going to say it anyway. Our human experience occupies both the measurable arithmetic world in which 1 + 1 = 2, and, underline and, because this is both and, the immeasurable infinite world in which 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 ad infinitum equals 1. And all is well with the world and us until we begin to ask questions designed for the 1 + 1 = 2 world of the 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 1 world. So I want to get at this kind of through a back door. A few weeks ago, while attending a dinner party, the conversation turned to God moments. Not surprising given that I was there, and I have this interest in how people experience divine presence in their lives. And so we were all talking, and then a woman whom I will call Corinne said, well, what if I never had one of those St. Paul knock you off your horse great aha moments? And then with a really kind of raspy, skeptical and impoverished sounding tone, she continued, yeah, so what if God has just never shown up for me? Now, you have to understand, Corinne is a woman who loves more things than I can count and has boatloads of people around her who love her. She delights in the mountains and deserts and being outdoors and traveling and music and dance. She is generous and has an incredible passion for helping and healing people and animals. She has this enormous family, great relationships with her siblings, her kids, their kids, her grandkids, her nieces and nephews, and they seem to never run out of excuses for having great celebrations for which she needs to buy a new dress. She is delighted by these people. She's never had a God moment? Here's the thing. Many of us will never have a knock you off your horse cannonball moment writ large with neon. Not many of us will watch the heavens torn open and angels running up and down ladders. And all of us are having God moments all of the time. But they are more like the prophet Elijah's experience on Mount Horeb, his experience during which he did not encounter God in a wild and crazy wind. He did not encounter God in earthquakes or fire. Elijah encountered God in the sound of sheer silence. The sound of sheer silence. It was in the sound of sheer silence that he received direction for his entire life. We're talking about 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 1. This is the equation for the infinite world of divine presence. And applying rules for arithmetic to the infinite renders us frustrated and impoverished as Corinne and as the Jews who we meet in today's gospel text who are demanding of Jesus, just tell us plainly, are you the Messiah? 1 and 1 is 2, right? Just tell us like it is. Corinne and the Jews are frustrated and impoverished because they are applying rules for arithmetic to the infinite. So what then are we to do with this infinitely perplexing equation? The poet and writer of Psalm 46 articulates a different rule for encountering and engaging this mysterious equation, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 1. Speaking on behalf of God, the poet counsels this way: be still. Be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. Be still. Most of us will never have a knock you off the horse, neon kind of God moment. But all of us can be still and notice divine presence in our rearview mirrors. And this is what I've asked you to share by sharing the moments in which you have experienced God is real in your life and writing them down and putting them in my preaching bowl. And I'm happy that there are some things in the preaching bowl because it was going to be a really short sermon if there weren't. So let's see what God moments you have shared with us. I feel like I'm kind of on a game show sometimes when I'm doing this. I don't know if this is helpful or not, but here goes. Most Tuesdays, I take part in an interfaith prayer session on Zoom led by Pastor John. It is brief, usually done in 20 minutes, and very flexible in that we can share a reading, prayer, chant, or sing. This past Tuesday, I read the final paragraphs from the appendix of Bishop Michael Curry's book, Love is the Way. The title of that final section is called, Please Don't Walk Alone. The message in those paragraphs are about how we all struggle to do the right thing, and we need help along the way. Specifically, we need spiritual energy and love from God, but also from each other. About 5 minutes after our session ended, I received this email from one of the participants. It made my heart warm. Dear so-and-so, I found your reading today to be especially powerful and on point for my needs. Thank you. My best to you. We need one another. Please don't walk alone. One of the most poignant ways in which we experience divine presence is when the confluence that happens in our relationships with others, those phone calls that come at exactly the right time, that email message thanking this person for what she shared that day, the affirmation of the goodness of one another. Those are revelations of divine love. Not neon signs. This is perfect, a perfect example. Last year during Trinity Sunday, I discovered something spectacular while I was trying to understand what Reverend Debra was saying. Okay, who knows what that might have been. Several past vicars have been at apostles and spoke about how hard this sermon is to preach. So as we all must do at times, I was looking out the window, and the sky was blue and clear, but for these 3 clouds, they were parallel and stretched across the Catalinas, not heavy, full clouds, but streaks. They were not far away, but close to our church going east. Aha, was I experiencing a moment of clarity? I accepted. I wondered how many times I have missed the obvious, but not this time. Thanks be to God. Wow. Looking out the window, what do we see? We see the revelation of God with us all the time. Now, the cannonball moments that we're going to do immediately following this, or almost immediately following the service, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. What gets us up in the morning? Looking at this beautiful landscape, listening to the sound of the birds. These are all God moments. And they're God moments that we hear in the stillness, not in the clamor, not in the news, not in the wherever it is you get your social media and listen to people try to convince you that they're good and the other guy's not. Our God moments are in that sound of utter silence. Let's see. I always pick from the top, I'll pick from the bottom this time. Somewhere I have read, if you want a friend, be a friend. Well, I definitely wanted to be a friend of God, so I thought about how I would reach out to a potential friend. Easy, I thought, invite them over for tea and some treats. So I got up extra early for my morning prayer, and when I was finished, prepared tea and some treats, put my best bone china cups and little plates on a silver tray, and brought them into the living room, set the tray on the coffee table, and invited God to join me. I like that. At that very moment, my youngest son walked into the living room much earlier than normal and said, beaming, "Mama, you made me tea." We enjoyed our little tea party, and I thanked God for sending me someone to share the tea with me. It was a double blessing. Relationships. You have to pause and notice when the people show up and express their love by making you tea, inviting you to lunch, asking you to go for a walk, calling when you're not feeling well, sending you a card of encouragement. These are God moments. We are having them all the time. And it's really, really important that we pause, be still, and know. Because it's out of that stillness that the wisdom and richness for the direction of our lives flows freely. But when we're all distracted with a myriad things around us, looking for neon to tell us which way to go, like Corinne and the Jews in today's gospel text, we'll be frustrated and impoverished. So I charge you, look for God in the stillness, the silence of eternal presence with you always. Amen.